Hey folks, and welcome back to another episode of Straight Talk Whiskey. I'm Nick here with you as always. Thanks for joining us for episode number 109. So, as promised, we are back into the Scotch region of our whiskey journey, and we've got a rather humorous and quite popular one for you in the Monkey Shoulder blended malt Scotch whiskey. Now, you have to just throw out the disclaimer that if you've ever been around the various Facebook groups that are out there, different blogs, forums, and that sort of thing, you'll know that people love to troll Monkey Shoulder in the groups. And they'll ask things like, what's my bottle worth? Or, where can I get this? Or, all those sorts of things that one might do with a little bit more hard to find whiskey, a little bit more exclusive Scotch that's out there. And it's really quite humorous to see people's reactions, and people will get really upset that this trolling sort of happens with it. But I mean, if you don't know already, Monkey Shoulder is relatively on the entry level scale of Scotch whiskeys, and at a price point of around $25 to $30, right? It's a blended malt Scotch whiskey, which is not a huge category in and of itself. There's only really a few players that are sort of doing it well. William Grant and Sons, obviously, one of them with Monkey Shoulder, but other people like Compass Box are sort of capping that market, or cornering that market, rather. So, right, you've got something that's pretty low on the shelf at the bar. It's something that people are looking to sort of explore. Typically would mix it with Coke, soda, make a cocktail out of it, and that sort of thing. That's really what it's advertised and relegated for, especially in the marketing that goes along with this. So just a humorous note about it, and it's funny that I'm finally getting around to it in episode 109. There's been a lot more whiskeys, obviously, before that, but since this one is just such a... it's really hilarious, but it actually is really good value Scotch for your money. So let's go in and take a look at what we've got. So, like we said, Monkey Shoulder blended malt Scotch whiskey. This comes from William Grant and Sons, like I already said. And so this is comprised of 3 different Speyside malt whiskeys, which are from Glenfiddich, the Balvenie, and Kininvie, and all of those obviously distilleries of William Grant and Sons. So the 27 is the initial sort of batching that they did to get Monkey Shoulder. And so now Monkey Shoulder is made in smaller batches of 27 at a time. Hence the blended in small batches on here. There's actually sort of something going on there with the number that's on there, and not just sort of a marketing ploy of, it's small batch, handmade, or, what else? Oh, the name itself. So Monkey Shoulder is going back to sort of the old ailment or physical discomfort that would arise from those who were turning the malt by hands, and sort of like the hunched over monkey shoulders. So that's where it gets its name from. It says humorously on the bottle that, yes, a maltman's skill is demonstrated as he turns the malting barley by hand. Years ago, some maltmen would develop a strain injury known as monkey shoulder. Thankfully, the condition no longer exists. So apparently they've gotten a little bit better with how they go about hand-turning malt, because it still gets done in some places. And the thing that I like about on this bottle is it says selected by our malt master. Selected by our malt master, not produced by or created by, crafted by, that sort of thing. Just real blatant language. Selected by. Distilled, matured, bottled in Scotland by William Grant and Sons. Family owned since 1887. Right, nothing that is outlandish is trying to, mislead the consumer, which is what I'm always about on here. And as they say on here, don't be a drunken monkey. Drink responsibly. Of course. So let's get into the whiskey itself. The coloring, does it appear to have caramel colorant added in it? Yes. Is it chill filtered? Probably. The color on here is a really pungent, light amber, yellowish, almost acidic looking color as I look at it in the light, but sort of just color of urine, which is really appetizing, I know. But let's go in for the nose. So the nose on this is really nice. It's soft, it's delicate, it's got a little fruit in there, real soft fruit notes, definitely a good vanilla note, some heather, a little bit of a floral note in there, but just malted barley gets in there. A fresh bakery at 5 a.m. in the morning, wafting out onto the street. Just a really nice light palate and a little bit of honey that's going on in there, which is interesting as well. So let's go in for the taste. So the palate on it, just like the nose, is pretty similar trajectory in that it's really soft spoken, understated, but you're getting a little bit of a mix. And so I'm getting some fresh fruit, some berry notes in there, strawberry, really light blueberry, nothing overripe, more tart in nature, something like an apple pie. Not an apple pie, but like a blueberry pie, raspberry pie, something along there. Where it's not just pungent fruit notes, but it's sort of mellowed out by everything else in there. But then again, the vanilla that I got in the nose coming off on the palate a little bit, sort of caresses the tip of the tongue, which is nice. And then certainly that malted barley, fresh baked bread note is there. Let's go in for another pass. There's a slight bit of honey that I got in the nose, but not overly so. The finish is not exceedingly long. It actually leaves sort of a peppery finish to it. And again, doesn't last too long, but it is sort of a refreshing palate cleanser, if you will. So what I didn't mention is the ABV is 43% ABV. So maybe a little bit of water would open it up or do something to it. Again, don't have the water outs because it's not something that I intend on really watering down a lot. I may at some point, but I'm only going to go, a couple drops at a time, because I think there's probably a pretty close by limit to how much water you want to douse this with. But I can see people that make cocktails and want to mix their drink using this as a base. I think it'd probably be a really fantastic use for that, especially with the $25 to $30 price point in there. I think it's a good option. It's not something that I traditionally do, so I would just drink it straight, but I can definitely see those avenues there for it. And I do appreciate, the bottle is pretty standard. It's got the three monkeys on there. And the actual cork is always a nice little touch to have instead of just a screw top. So do appreciate that. But again, this is one of those things that, yes, it's $25, $30. Yes, there's probably caramel colorant in there. And yes, it's probably chill filtered and all those things. But you know what? You sort of understand that going into it. They're not pulling anything on you. They're not pulling anything over your eyes. You're really getting, face value for this, which I respect and appreciate. Everything has sort of its niche in the market, and not trying to go above and beyond and pretend like it's something it's not is definitely something that I appreciate. Another thing that's really interesting about Monkey Shoulder is their website. Now, when it comes to websites, it really bugs me when people or companies request, birthdays and things like that, because, they're trying to create, a stockpile of information on the people that are visiting the site, sort of their age and demographics and things like that, and where they live. So that Monkey Shoulder does the same thing. They use that kind of method, which I don't like. I get that you have to verify somebody's age before they enter the site, but there's simpler ways to do it. You can simply say, are you of legal age to view the content of the site? And it's either a yes or no thing. And a lot of companies are doing this now, and you're instantly in, and you don't feel like, somebody's trying to collect information on who's visiting the site, which is nice. But so I usually end up saying I'm like, 103 years old from Albania or something like that. Just try to screw with their their statistics there, because I think it's bogus, and I don't think they should be doing it. So yes, Monkey Shoulder does this, but in their defense, not for that, but for their website in general, they've got a really interesting. It's simple in the sense that there's not a lot of content on the site, but sort of the interactions and graphics on there, and just how that all plays out when you visit the site is really actually interesting. So it's definitely worth a chance. I want to say it's monkeyshoulder.com, but don't quote me. Don't want that to bring up something, I don't know, strange or weird. So just Google Monkey Shoulder and get to their site. But so I think that wraps it up for this review. For a score, I would say an 82 for this. Again, disclaimer, I don't really care about reviews, but I know that's important to a lot of people, so I try to give it a score out of 100. So there you go, an 82. If you're going to drink, as always, drink responsibly, and we'll see you next time.